Hi, my name is Patrick Karekezi, and today we welcome you to another episode of the Arise Education Book Talk. And we're discussing a very intriguing book. The book is 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. This book is focusing on the current affairs and immediate future of the human society, the different challenges that we face and the choices that we have to make, what we can learn from this as a younger generation, and we believe this can definitely broaden our thinking as we come face to face with the 21st century challenges. I will come into that incredible discussion. Alright, and today I bring to you Benoit Iradukunda. Ben is a student at African Leadership University and a chief strategist at the AINA think tank. Ben, you're most welcome to the discussion.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, Ben, I've been reading this book, but what do you think about the book and how best can you describe the author?
Yuval Harari is one of the most powerful and thought-provoking authors that I've come across in my entire life. And I really liked his book. It's a must-read. What sets him in a better position to speak about the future, about the 21st century, even more than most people, is that he's very well versed with history. And as you know, history influences the present and can shape the future. Yeah.
Wow, great. So Ben, the second chapter of the book actually says that when you grow up, you will not have a job.
What I think is that that chapter shouldn't be taken literally, as in you will not have a job. As you read the book, I personally read the chapter more than just once to fully grasp what the chapter is all about. What the author was trying to highlight is that in the future, there will be jobs, but we may not necessarily have the right skill set that is needed to have those jobs. You shall not have jobs sounds a bit harsh, but what the author is trying to emphasize in that chapter is that we are going to shift from exploitation to irrelevance. He only emphasizes on a massive class of people that is going to be irrelevant in the future not because they don't have the skills, but they don't have the necessary skills needed to sustain their jobs. He obviously emphasizes on the necessity to keep on reinventing ourselves. What I got from the chapter is that there will be jobs in the future, but with the current realities we're living in, we're seeing a rapid acceleration in technological advancements. And what that means for the future is that jobs will be there, but they will be changing very dramatically. And yes, some people may end up not having jobs, not because they don't have skills. They have skills, but they are not reinventing themselves every day.
So Ben, you speak about the current system of capitalistic exploitation that we're now shifting to we having more of a class of irrelevant individuals. I mean, irrelevant in the sense that they'll not be having like essential skill sets needed to be able to thrive in the dramatically changing world. Like, how best can we see the current context?
That's a very interesting question. Just basing on our current context, we've been having COVID for months now, and the government has been employing people here and there to test people. But recently we welcomed robots that will be used at the national airport to test for COVID-19. And that robot has a capacity of testing, let's say 100 people in just a few minutes. That's something that you would need a lot of people on the ground to do the same kind of job in the same amount of time. So what that means is that with more automation in the job industry, most people will end up being irrelevant. Not just because they don't have the right skills. They might have the right skills, but once we fail to coexist with artificial intelligence, coexist with automation, that's when we become irrelevant in the job market. So what the author actually advises is we learning to coexist with artificial intelligence, working hand in hand with it and reinventing ourselves.
According to the story, the author has a long narrative of over 300 pages. What aspects of the story do you most relate to?
When I was reading this book, I came across two very important aspects. One of them being that we shall need to reinvent ourselves in the future, and the second being that we shall need to have a great level of emotional intelligence. But personally, the one that I've interacted with a lot is the bit about we reinventing ourselves. A few months ago, my parents started a business. And as you know, in this era, you need to have an online presence in order to thrive in the business world. So after they opened up their business, a few weeks into the business, they realized they had to get online to start advertising. They had to learn how to use WhatsApp statuses, Facebook stories, Instagram stories. It was a very hard journey for them.
I can imagine the kind of struggle you went through having to teach them how to, manipulate a phone and
exactly how they had to learn about, Facebook and Instagram ads. My dad specialized in computer sciences, but he realized he didn't know a whole lot about social media advertising and all that kind of stuff. So that showed me a lot in terms of we being able to reinvent ourselves. And with these advancements in technology, I feel like in our era it's going to be even much more. At the age of 80, we shall need to juggle the new softwares that will be there in the time. I can't tell what's going to be there, but all I know is that technological advancements will keep on coming every day. So yeah.
Wow. Actually, the author opines that there is more need for clarity. The information is power in such a time. And I definitely buy into your idea when you say you can't confidently predict the future. But since we know the past and the present, then you can be in a better position to manipulate whatever comes ahead of us. Beyond the need for self-reinvention, what other aspects, you spoke about emotional intelligence, like what do we need to be able to thrive in this current and dramatically changing world?
Speaking of emotional intelligence, it's a very necessary skill beyond reinventing yourself. Today we've seen an increase in companies of all stripes on the lookout for people with emotional intelligence. However much it's regarded as a soft skill, I personally take it as a hard skill. The author gives an example of one of the jobs that are going to take way too long to be automated, like nursing. Nursing not only requires a very huge level of emotional intelligence, it's also a kind of job that requires a lot of creativity. Creativity is another aspect that cannot easily be automated. And also, it requires a level of collaboration. Those are some of the things that are uniquely to human beings. Being able to collaborate using emotional intelligence and being able to be creative. Those are things that cannot easily be automated, and these are certain things that we really need in order to thrive in the future, beyond just reinventing ourselves.
Yeah, and aside the author, that's Yuval Noah Harari, I think Daniel Goleman tries to break down what emotional intelligence actually is in the current world. I think he speaks about it for empathy, the social skills and self-awareness, self-regulation, among so many others. I think they're like 5, Do you feel what we're having as a world today, the skills our different schools are equipping us with, the skills we are attaining from, let's say, our daily interactions, do you feel we are being shaped for the future appropriately?
That's not an easy question to attend to, and I believe some institutions are doing a very good job in regards to that. But I can't say the same for all institutions. If I were to say something around that, I would say that institutions need to teach their students to collaborate more, to work in groups, to work together. But it's not just teaching students to work in groups. You also need to cultivate a culture that, empowers innovation, a culture that prioritizes creativity, that prioritizes self-awareness. Yeah, I believe institutions need to move more into that. And I understand it's not an easy thing to do, but it is feasible with time.
Oh yeah, just as you're saying, I definitely agree with you. And I could say that means our learning institutions should try to shift from the current, current authoritarian systems that are only like having a certain standard you must all meet. We are being graded, and our different levels of intelligences are determined within a minute or two, or those few hours students spend doing exams, and that becomes like the whole shape, the whole individual. That means they need to re-explore that, just as you say, talk about the sense of invention, like creativity, then in others go an extra mile to teaching young people how to learn, because that's something very important.
Exactly.
Realize that these days there is need to learn how to learn, not actually, because you even leave school, you don't get a job immediately. When you leave school, there are always this other procedure. You can try to volunteer, but the whole essence of volunteering is to learn. There's one thing that I've realized in the society today. We all want to change. We all want to embrace change, but we are afraid of what we lose when we change. So this keeps us in that kind of stagnant system. How do you think?
That is totally true. And as the author puts it, is that he says that if you are not ready to change in the future, the world will swoosh you by. It's not just pass you by, it's swoosh you by. So you can imagine. So reinvention is very, very key, and creativity and innovation is very key. And the reason that's why schools need to emphasize even more on that is that this world is becoming even more complex. So, and if you can't predict how the future job market will be, all you can hope for is that it will change in some sort. So, but if people are trained to not to stick to the convention, if people are trained to think outside the box, they will always find a way around it. They will always find a way to, tackle the challenge their way.
And aside the institutions, because they will definitely have to adapt accordingly and play their right roles. And what should we as young people do? Even if they put an opportunity right there and we are not interested, we definitely couldn't get it. What do you think the young people should do to fit in the world as well?
As young people, I believe we need to be more inquisitive, ask more questions. And being inquisitive provides a unique sense of clarity in this world that we live in that is diluted by a lot of information. And as you realize, most young people today consume a lot of content from social media platforms. Exactly. And when you question a lot, it brings you, below the surface. You don't just see a tip of the iceberg, but you also go below the surface. You don't just look at a graph that says XYZ. You also go an extra mile and learn more about who published it, what was their intent, how they gather the data, and all that kind of stuff. And that is what provides clarity in the world we live in. And clarity is very key because whoever has it has all the power. And I would also say that we need to learn more, learn every day. There's nothing like absolute knowledge. I'm learning from you, you're learning from me, and read more, read every day.
Yeah, that's definitely right. And also, I really like the bit of questioning, the sense of curiosity is something that we should always dare to trigger in young people, ignite that sense of curiosity. When we question the systems we have at hand, we even show the people that are working on the systems that it's already, it's no longer serving our interests. So they may have to adjust it to fit our specific interests in order for us to thrive in the world. And I definitely believe that whatever we do as young people, much as we are so distracted, most of the times, spending much of our time maybe on social media, hanging and chilling with friends, the decisions that are being made right now will definitely influence our future. And as we try to avoid being part of the decision-making processes, then we should be ready to pay the high price, because the consequences of the decisions made today will definitely affect us. And finally, we come to the start of the end of the book talk. I've been with Ben. Something very interesting that we should pursue is we are living in the present, but the future is up to us. What we do now will definitely determine what will end up. We should arise and take the lead as a people, because no one will give us the future we want unless we pursue it. And so make sure you subscribe to our pages and follow the discussions, comment and give your feedback. We love to see how you're learning, how we can learn from you. And ensure that whenever you want to read such incredible books, reach out to Arise Education Bookshop that is located opposite the former Kie in Kimirong. Yes, so we can always serve you because we are your biggest fans. So thank you so much, and let's catch you during the next review.